Hi, everyone. Thank you for tuning back in. We just want to thank everybody for just your love and your support. Today we have a special guest, Shay Babyface Wilkinson over here. Look at him. Yes. And with that, just thank you for your questions, your inquiries, and we're just going to get this going. So go with that.
Yeah, man. So real quick, like a good topic and something we've been getting. We've got a listener that is getting ready for Summer Academy. So today it's May. It's supposed to be 111. So there's a lot of folks that are getting ready to start Academy. Why don't you guys speak on like how they can prepare for that? Or we have a couple guys that actually went through Summer Academy. So hopefully for our listeners, you guys can tune in and kind of get some tips here.
Yep. And before we hit into that, real quick, Shay, why don't you kind of introduce yourself a little bit?
Yeah, so I'm 23 years old. I've been on with Goodyear Fire Department for about a year and a half now. Yeah, two sisters and a brother. Um, Grew up, pretty much in Arizona my whole life. Moved around a little bit as a kid. Um, Came back to Arizona, finished high school, played a little summer or college ball, and then from there I just decided, talked with my pops a little bit about um, the fire career. He has some buddies that worked in Phoenix, got me connected with those guys, and then decided, that was the route for me. So I connected with it a lot because of sports. It felt like a sport environment to me, and I felt comfortable with it. So yeah, so started working towards that, got through the process, and was lucky enough to get hired with Goodyear, and lucky enough to be with guys like you guys. So
Right
Nice.
answer.
So yeah, so like Vaca said, it's May and it's already 111,
Mm.
and both of you guys, John and Shay, both went through a summer academy. John was 15-1 and he was an 18-3, and so you guys kind of have the first-hand knowledge of it, man, the first feel of it, and I can speak about it a little bit from the RTO perspective because I was with both you guys in there. So what would you say if we had to say that listener that's preparing to go into a summer academy in July? What are the mental things that you think you had to do to prepare, and the mental things you learned in the academy that you could give advice on?
mentally, before the academy, I think I was just getting ready. This is a new thing for me. I had no previous fire experience or any clue on how it felt to be in turnout in 110-degree weather.
So you didn't do your 1 and 2 or anything?
I didn't do a 1 and 2. I was pretty much just basing all my experience off ride-alongs and kind of learning the fire department from a station etiquette
And the
standpoint.
Chicago Fire Show.
Exactly. There you go. Yep.
Everything from Rescue Me?
Yeah.
Right.
So and a lot of YouTube actually.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure.
And so going into it, I'd say for me it was just, um, you know, understanding that the difficulty of something new is something I'm gonna have to adapt to. I'm gonna have to rely on others a lot, rely on their standpoints and their knowledge, um, and then just basically something bigger that I've never been a part of. So that was just kind of going into that. I was just getting ready for that, realizing that I found out how early I had to wake up. So it
How
starts
early?
4 a.m.
Yeah, you're not a morning guy either, bro.
No, you know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Got that morning face.
Yeah.
yeah,
Look
exactly.
at that one. That's
Yeah.
it. There it is.
I keep it all day
Yeah.
until about 5 o'clock, and it wears off.
So and like you said, learning mentally how to rely on other people was a big thing because in football you were a quarterback, you were a linebacker, right? So
Yeah.
you were used to being the guy
Right.
that everybody else relied on. So that it was a different change for you where you had to be comfortable giving up that piece and having to rely on somebody else when you're having a bad time, when you didn't know something, when there was something you couldn't do. You guys both had to really step in that role of, all right, I got to be comfortable letting somebody else take the lead.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, that was definitely new for me. Yeah, coming out of because previously, any sports team, I was the positions I just played growing up were is kind of that natural leader position. So in that, you kind of have to wipe out all of your ego in the academy, especially not knowing anything. There's guys on there that have 1 and 2s, the guys that have been with other cities. So kind of knocking down your ego and relying on those guys a lot for their support and their advice and all that. So that was new to me, So I was used to being that guy that mentored the younger kids in high school or. So
And like you said, you had to wake up early. You had to get used to waking up at 4 a.m., going to bed early, which is probably not something you're used to doing yet. Going to bed at the right time, and just kind of getting your whole mindset in that now of, even though everybody around you, all your friends, I got into this young too, and everybody around me was not doing the same thing that I was doing, and was not in the same routine. So kind of having to almost detach yourself from that too to do what's best for you at that point, right?
Right.
Yeah, it's weird how your kind of life and your circle changes, almost after that first day, is because now you're like, oh, I'm with these guys every single day. So like he's going to bed early, he's going to bed early, we're all waking up early, and it's weird. Like your other friends, they're still your friends, but you just don't really see them anymore because this is your life for 16 weeks is here, and then you're home, you're in bed by 8:30, 9 because you're waking up at 3:30, 4 if in the summertime, and just getting that mental state of, all right, dude, this is life. You have to have that conversation with your parents, your wife, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, whatever, and everyone's got to be on the page. And
Okay.
You talking to Manny?
yeah,
Okay.
you know what I'm saying.
I see where we're going with it. Well, with that being said, you both kind of touched on it. That mental, you had that shift, or the paradigm shift. Big word for you guys. But you have that shift in the way you are approaching things now. How did that mental shift translate into what you did physically, or what you would do physically different now, knowing what you know?
Yeah, I think a lot, especially in the fire service, the things that we do and the things that we were doing on the academy ground had nothing to do with what I was doing in the weight room.
Oh, really?
So like,
Can you touch a little bit on that? Like no curls for the
He's
girls?
just been curling.
Guns out, guns out?
Yeah.
No?
So I quickly realized, curls for the girls was out the window, and then my Olympic lifts that I was doing, deadlifts, power cleans, those are all great functional movements. But for the academy, especially if you're going to the summer academy, I'd start working on those muscle endurance, high reps. Especially in the legs, because your legs get shot, nothing else is going to work, including your brain. Your legs are shot, your brain shuts off. So,
wet noodles down there, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. And then, just that going to sleep thing is huge though, because I've never been a good sleeper, so I've always stayed up late, and so it is super critical, like to be able to be 7:30, 8, even 8 o'clock was starting to get late for a summer academy, because waking up at 3:30, 4.
And like the sun's still out, and you're like trying to sleep, your eyes all open, and you're like psycho, dude.
Yeah, exactly. I remember there was this one night I came home. It was we got out a little early, but it was a tough day, man. We were on the grinder all day, and I think it was beginning of August. It's 118, feels like 180, but out there. So we did a skills course, and then we pulled hose. I think we had a short lunch, and so and like what that does to your body, just mentally, you start to just lose it, especially on the drive home. You're just like trying to stay awake. You're all sunburned. Your feet are killing you. Like, I remember your feet are wet 24/7.
Oh, yeah, trench foot, dude.
24/7.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I started to grow things on my feet that looked like John's front yard.
Hey, man, that front yard's legit.
Yeah.
Foot's got some roots.
Yeah, roots.
So yeah, man, just getting used to going to bed early. But like I said, I came home and I was super tired, and almost even to the point where I was delirious. I remember I just got home, I showered right away, I got something in my belly really quick, and I just laid down on the couch and I was out. And it was probably 3:30 when I fell asleep. Well, I wake up, and that was around the time. It's around that time where 6:30 at night looks like 6:30 in the morning, So I wake up 6:30 at night thinking, and it felt like it was a great sleep, man. I wake up and I'm like, wow, I feel great, but the sun is out still, and I'm like thinking it's in the morning. When I get up in the morning for the academy, it was pitch dark out still, and so I wake up and I'm instantly freaking out, thinking, because we get to the grinder at 5 in the morning, and it says 6:30 on the clock, so I'm
full panic.
Heart is beating. I'm thinking I'm losing my job.
Wait, 6:30 a.m. or p.m. on the clock?
Didn't know at the time. No, but it was 6:30 p.m.
That's the key, right?
It was 6:30 p.m. on the clock, everybody. So it was only a 3-hour nap that I took. It felt like a 12-hour nap. So yeah, I wake up and instantly the first thing I did was call Higo. He was my RTO in the engine company I had, and I'm freaking out. I remember I didn't even shower, nothing. I just started putting on my clothes, and as I'm putting on my shorts and putting one leg, I can't get my leg in. I'm freaking out, and I'm like, hey man, I'm on the way. I didn't call him man, I called him Cap. Hey Cap, I'm on the way. And he's like, hold on, man. What's going on? I'm like...
So I think I remember more because Shay was delirious. and I remember feeling so bad for him, man. He called I was on my way to Chick-fil-A. I'll never forget this day.
Weird.
Chick-fil-A,
Yeah.
holla at me. I'm on my way, and I got my boys with me, and the Bluetooth comes on, and it's Shay, and I'm like, he never calls me, unless like they usually text me if they needed something. So I answer it, and I go, hello? Cap, I overslept. He screams in the thing, and I was like, and he's like, I'm so sorry. Whatever happens to me, it's my fault. I'm so sorry I did it. And I was like, oh, because I've done this 100 times. I was like, I know exactly what's going on. I'm like, Shay, stop, listen. And he's like screaming, talking, just trying to apologize. I can tell, get dressed. I'm like, stop. It's 6:30 p.m. It's still the same day. It's still Wednesday.
Yeah.
And he's like, what? What? It couldn't understand me. I said, listen, hang up. Relax a little bit, call me back. And he calls me back like 10 minutes later, like, oh my God, dude, I'm so sorry.
No, I remember too. I still finished putting on my clothes. I thought he didn't know what he was talking about. I'm like, no, I'll see you in a minute, player. Like, so yeah, I hung up the phone. And I'm like,
But it just shows how mentally fatiguing it is. And that's the part that people have to know going into it is you don't realize it mentally beats you up too.
Mm-hmm.
You're so tired that your brain goes with you. It's a nonstop war on your body, and you're just nonstop stress, and things like that happen. And we've all done that. I always remember from school, you wake up for school, you start getting ready, and then you realize it's still the same day. You fell asleep for a little bit, and and you feel like a dummy, but you're in such a panic mode. But the mental side of it again was Shay was smart enough to own it. What I respected the most about it, and I talked to him the next day, was I said, you never made an excuse.
Right.
You owned it, and you just said, hey, I made a mistake. Whatever happens to me, I'll take it. Which is what I respected more out of it, and that's what we want. That is what's going to carry you in an academy and in a career in the fire department, was own your mistakes and be able to just do it. Don't make excuses.
Right.
He didn't blame anybody but himself. And that was the best part of it. Was I was happy on that part, but I felt so bad for this poor bastard.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, this
just
poor
lived
guy
hell
is
for
so
like a 2 minutes straight, dude.
he's probably
I
in
tore
panic mode.
apart my room. Yeah, no idea, because I didn't do
Fall
wash
against
yet.
your bed and stuff.
Because for those of you who don't know, in the academy, you will be doing wash every night.
Oh, yeah.
You wash your clothes every
Yeah,
night.
you just come
And I
home and
didn't
put
do-
all the wet shit in the
So I was
washer.
putting on wet shorts. Like, I think a tear at one point came out because I was like, this sucks.
It's gonna be raw. It'll be a long day.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what physically workouts would you recommend for somebody going in that academy? Would you say like these are the muscles?
Well, before you
that
answer
kill us?
that, and just to let everybody know that if you're thinking of coming into this career or you have an academy start date, before you answer, one of the things you got to understand is you can do all the preparation you want, but sometimes you just don't know until you get there. So now go ahead. Sorry.
No, that's what I was going to start off with was there's no way around it. You can do those high rep interval workouts, like I was saying, especially with your legs, doing like lunges and stuff like that and honestly the mobility stuff, and I learned that from Hugo. We did some workouts before the academy, like kind of prepping up into it, and he was having us stand on Bosu balls, doing squats with just no weight on the bar, and I couldn't believe how much I couldn't keep my muscles under control. And you're gonna need that when you're doing pike props, stuff like that, or you need a good base, a good stance, or carrying things or pulling things. So that's what I would say is high rep things, keep the weight low.
And some yoga, man. If you can jump into
and
that, get
yoga.
into that habit before of just stretching out and being all loose and limber, man, that's going to help you with energy, with injuries and just mobility.
Yeah, flexibility is huge in there, man, because you use it for recovery. So getting in a good routine before you go in, you do one right before all the workouts at the start of the day, and then getting one in before you go to bed to kind of get everything loose and recover again. And like you said, the whole thing with the mobility is a big thing with the fire department is we work under extreme fatigue, and we're doing extreme movements under extreme fatigue. So what I like about those small mobility, Bosu balls, resistance bands, lightweight, is it gets all those small muscles working that have to engage when your body's unstable. So that's what keeps you from getting hurt when you're trying to push a pike pole through a piece of plywood that's, you're extremely tired with all this gear and you're hot and you're trying to pull a tire awkward and drag it across the street. and things like that. It's all those small muscles will kick in to keep you from getting hurt, from hurting your back, hurting your shoulder, your knees. So that I think that's really big that a lot of people don't look into. You know.
Yeah.
Right.
And for us, like all four of us, like we were red shirts from June till mid-July when we started. So we would, be red shirts throughout the day, doing whatever, and then always we'd run between 1 and 5 miles after work. So at 5 o'clock when it's super hot. So that was something to kind of get the physical and mental, because you got to push through that heat, and in that time, man, it just feels like you're running through an oven, and just getting that rep in of I mean, it probably helped a little bit, but just knowing what's coming, and you can't prepare for the full academy, but get a little taste.
Yeah, and I guess the last piece I would want you to touch on, or both of you, having recently gone through academies, is both the mental piece of it and the physical stuff you went through. How did that affect you emotionally? Like what are those emotions you kind of ride through an academy, that roller? Because sometimes it feels like a roller coaster, right? One minute you're like, hey, yeah, I killed it. The next one you go do a new event and you're like completely botch it, and you're like, dang, am I meant for this career, kind of thing. Talk a little bit about that process as you went through your academy.
Yeah, man. Especially, at least for me, I kind of struggled a little bit in the beginning of the academy. Not so much with the workouts, but when we started getting hose lays and stuff, I was getting down on myself because it is new stuff,
Right.
and it's not going to click right away. It's new things that not everybody in their lives learns. So I think I was struggling with just taking a plug, and down to flipping the supply line over the hydrant, and I just remember being so just annoyed with myself, and it showed on my face. And so emotionally, I would say you're going to be irritable. You're going to be more susceptible to emotions that, as men, we don't typically show.
Right.
But
AKA tears.
especially with people at home, I think
It's your adrenaline.
The guy just want to take a flower.
yeah, literally. But I think on the emotional aspect as well, is because people at home, I think they have to understand that you're coming home, you're tired, you're going to be a little more irritable, at least in stuff like that.
For sure.
And especially if you have a bad day on the grinder, I mean, that can ruin your day. And I know firsthand it definitely happened early in the morning, and I let it show all day. And so I think just letting your loved ones know, your supporters at home, or anyone that is supporting you, I think that you should just let them know, hey, this is what I'm going through. And you kind of give them the insight, because if they don't know the insight, now you're gonna come home, they're gonna ask you, okay, well, can you pop a load of laundry in? Can you get dinner going? If you have kids, it's like, can you do this? And I think you at least need a debrief for an hour or two when you get home. That's
At
important.
least, man, and
least.
yeah, I wouldn't even say you're even cooking, man. Like, I lived by myself, and
Yeah.
and it was man, I'm meal prepping Sunday for the whole week, and that was just my whole Sunday was just recovery, stretch, hydrate, and cook, because I'm not coming home and cooking, man. You're just so smoked, and you just want to lay down on the couch, take a shower, and hit that AC, and decompress, because it's coming again.
And that's why it's
Yeah.
so important to build the relationships also in the academy, because like you said, you're going through with a bunch of people experiencing all the same things that you're doing, the same emotions, same physical pains, same mental stuff going on with them. So it's important to build those relationships, because that's who you really lean on during those
Right.
times
Yeah.
too, is your family. They just know that you're tired and hurting and you're doing this hard stuff, but everybody you're going through with it out there knows exactly what you
Right.
feel. So building relationships and being a team player is just as important to the emotional side of this whole thing too.
And I would say on that note, piggybacking on that, is when I went through it, I had wife and 3 kids at home. It was different for me, because I'd come home and like I was gone all day. Those little kids, for those of you that do have kids, those little kids still need your attention, and it was hard to manage that, because you just want to eat and you want to go to bed. And for those of you that are married and that have those kids, you need to, right now, if you haven't started doing that, you need to start prepping your families and understand that it's going to be hard. Your kids they don't know dad's got beat up and yelled at from a RTO over here, that you're knucklehead, this is what you swim, snap, and grab and run. But the piece of that is just, you got to have that communication. If you're not talking to your wife or your husband, however it is, you got to understand you're going to come home fatigued. They're going to need help with the kids. And on this side of it now, with kids, sometimes when you come home, man, the wives are ready to get these kids off
yeah.
their hands. So
And it's easier in the front end to load
Yes.
it versus when you're in
Yes.
in the middle of
Right.
it. Now you got problems at home. You're not doing that well in
Yeah.
the academy. And I'm like, well, this is why. But so if you load it, and then back to what Hugo said with just that communication within your engine is getting that emotional piece with each other is what got us through it. Like
Yeah.
a lot of it, because you only see this much of people in their mask.
Right.
Their body languages. We're still doing it. Nobody looks tired, but if you just talk about it,
Yes.
it lowers your anxiety of, all right, dude, they're right where I'm at, man. We're at our max, and then you kind of settle each other down and
Right.
go as a team versus.
And
all
I think sharing your
individuals.
successes, the things that are working for you during the academy. Like you
Huge.
said, you prepped on Sundays, right? You meal prepped on Sundays. Like I didn't have to because my wife was there and she,
That's bougie, man.
right. She took care of me. She
I
was
was
pampered
making
me.
me chicken
I
cordon
was-
bleu. And
I was still living with my mom. So I was
Yeah,
all
yeah.
right. Thanks,
Yeah.
Mom.
Yeah, your boy was Lone Eagle, coming home doing laundry, making ramen and
just like
laundry and
wait,
ramen.
waiting for Hank to get some thumbs. Like, come on, man.
My mom would just give me Vicks to put on my body for all the pains. No, but so along with it, it was awesome. It was a great experience. I had the chance to be both of these guys RTOs, and both of them were actually in my engine company. So we went through a lot of stuff.
Sorry for
together.
that.
That's
Yeah,
probably
they
why
gave
they're
him the
doing
strongest
big,
ones.
That's probably why they're doing big things today.
We got the Vicus RTO. Let's give him the two
Yeah.
jack
Yeah.
dudes.
That's why they're down on themselves. Is if you have this bar set for you, no way
Right.
to meet it.
Right.
So the big thing I would say, as far as the RTO standpoint, is mentally, just be tough, right?
Mm.
Don't quit. Those are
Yes.
big things we push
Big
people
one.
is because again, the stress doesn't build character; it reveals it, right? You said your dad told you that in football. It doesn't build character for you; it reveals it.
Right.
So you're not learning how to be a tougher person out there. Just do it. You got to just do it. Don't quit. You're gonna want to quit. 100 times your brain tells you, take a break, take this off, do this. You have to push yourself past that. So just toughening up and getting your mind right of, okay, I'm gonna do some hard stuff, and I just have to just show them. I never cared, and I told these guys all the time, and everybody in that academy, I don't care how good you're doing at it. Just don't quit and give me an excuse for it. Don't make an excuse for it. Give me everything you have, and we can all do it. We're all grown-ups here. We know when somebody's giving us their all, and we
Right.
know when somebody's trying to act like and make us think that they're giving us their all.
Right.
So don't do that because the RTOs read that. So mentally, just have a good mindset, come in with a good attitude. Don't get down when things don't go your way, right? We had a really good talk that day when Shay had that. And I told him in sports, we've always we show frustration when things don't go good, right? We're frustrated because it shows like that's how much we care. But I had to tell everybody is in the fire service, it's a different mindset. Showing your frustration is bad. We have to be able to take bad things, take it calmly, learn from it, and show improvement. That's what we want, and that's what everybody's looking for. Is we don't want to see you throwing your helmets and pouting because you didn't get as fast of a time or you got failed for something. We just want to tell you at the end of your evolution, hey, this is what you got, this is what you did right or wrong, and we just hear yes, sir. And you just take in, if you have a question about a certain part of it, you ask that question, then you go right back and you get ready for the next one. It's everything is the last slide you had, right? It's like being a DB, that mindset. You could get burned on a pass, but you have to blank that out and act like it never happened for the next play, right? And every sport has that position of goalie, for hockey, anything. So that's what we're looking for mentally. It's
You
just
kind of got to chill out on the competitive nature and,
Yes.
and
Right.
not worry about. Don't fall into that stopwatch thing that everybody does with I have to get the fastest time because that's
Don't focus on the awards at the end of the academy. Focus on your what you're actually going to be learning. You know, as a
Exactly.
firefighter.
You already
and
got
as
the
a
job,
human.
you know.
As a human, you learn a lot about yourself in the academy,
Yeah,
man.
you do.
Yeah, those awards they give you don't give you anything else when
No.
you get out of
And
there.
everyone
You don't
forgets
get
about
like a better bidded spot or
No.
things because you won this award. It just shows you worked hard in the academy. But nobody out in these trucks gets to see what you did in the academy. Nobody
Yeah.
knows that. So, and that's what I would tell these guys a lot too: is don't get hyped up on these awards. Don't get hyped up on your times, and don't start getting. Because what you start noticing as an RTO throughout is the better people start getting at things, the more arrogant they start getting, the more loose they get out there, the more comfortable they get because they're doing good. And it's, again, you are doing really good at exercising and doing skills in a controlled environment where
Right.
nothing can go wrong. There is no real emergency. So don't let that hype you up into thinking that you're ready for everything and you're the man when you come out, or the woman. So mentally, I think you really need to keep that going. Emotionally, prepare your family and be open to all these things you're going to feel. Be
Mhm.
vulnerable, look for people, reach out, and prepare your families, because I can't tell you, every time, every academy I've done, the guys with girlfriends always struggle, because the girlfriends love knowing that this guy's now in the academy and I have this trophy, but then it starts not getting that cool when you don't see him all week.
Yeah.
And he's not around, and he's too tired to hang out and do stuff with you. That's a struggle for them. And then even in some of the relationships I've seen with wives, it's the same thing.
It's
Where
harder.
wives start now, they start feeling that
Mhm.
you're not paying attention
That
to me. We're
distance.
separating.
Mhm.
You're so into that I'm not getting attention from
Right.
you, and then your kids. So you have to prepare everybody and just let them know and remind them that this is temporary.
Right.
This isn't forever. This isn't how it's always going to be. For these 14 weeks, this is how it's going to be, and I just need you to help grind me through it, keep me humble, keep me honest, and afterwards we get to all reap the benefits of it.
Yep.
So it's something we have to remind everybody around us.
Yeah.
So, we just want to thank Shay for being here.
Oh, thank you.
Just so everybody knows, Shay has the best Catman in the world. Your boy.
The most feminine one.
Right. No, but a lot of the things you pick up and you learn in your academy, like Hugo was saying, you're going to carry out through that your entire career. And the most important part is that mental piece, man, because that's where the breakdown's going to start. If you let yourself start going mentally, the body will follow. And so we just want to thank Shay for being here.
Because not everything goes your way, right?
Right.
Not everything goes your way in this job.
Yeah.
And Shay's a really good example of that. And one thing I'd like to hit really quick before we go is what really kind of attracted me to Shay as a person was in his intern academy when he did it. He knew nothing about this job. He knew nothing about it. He was totally green to it, and nobody knew who he was. But he stood out because, one, he pushed himself so hard. Everything he did in there, and this is just for everybody trying to get hired, he pushed himself really hard and had no clue what he was doing. And he did it wrong. Everything he did was wrong. But it was full speed and
All heart.
And I would give him little tests here and there where I remember him being completely fatigued on this one sprint round that they had to do, and him literally collapsing and just falling down. And there was the guy he was going up against was still going. And I said, "Hey, Shay, get up and go cheer him on." And he was blue lips, he was pale,
Yeah,
and he
cyanosis.
stood up, and ran back to that guy and cheered him on the whole way and helped him finish. And that was little things like that. And throughout his academy, which impressed me, because Shay didn't have any kind of prep. He didn't have anybody showing him. And John was super similar to that. John was just a natural leader in there, and everybody looked to him, and they didn't have a lot of insight into this. So what kind of things for you would you say growing up taught you those lessons and made you successful? Because that's making you successful in your career too, and it wasn't any fancy fire knowledge.
Right.
It was what taught you that.
Yeah, a lot of life experience. I didn't have the best life growing up. As a kid, it was low income, realizing that not everything's gonna go your way. So I think and moving around a lot as a kid also enforced me to build relationships with people at new schools or new teams or whatever came my way. It was just kind of always a new thing for me. So my dad as a kid, he would always his thing was respect and effort. Those are the two things. If you're gonna do anything in your life, if you're gonna start any relationship, you're gonna give two things. You're gonna give respect and effort, because those are the two things that we always want. We always want respect, and we always want effort in a relationship. We always want those. So in order to get that, you want to give it. So in order to receive, you want to give it. So that's kind of how I've lived my life, and so that's why I went into the intern academy. I went into the academy once I got hired, just knowing that if there's anything I know that I'm going to give, or anything about this process I'm going through, it's that I'm going to give 100% respect and effort so, and hope that that everything's going to end up all right, and that the guys around me are going to pick me up, and we're going to learn together. And so
That's made you successful. I mean, we've seen it
Yep.
in your short time here already. So it does. This will carry you through a career, and then definitely set you up for successful, events and whatever you choose to do. So.
Right.
Yeah. So we'd really like to thank everybody that is sending these questions. That was an awesome thing to bring up, a great topic to talk about. And we have two guys that are really fresh to it. So if if anybody else has any other topics, let us know. Hit us up again. Send them to us.
Yeah.
Share the videos, and we'd like to thank Shay for coming out. It was awesome
you
to get to
guys.
talk
Thanks,
to you and
bub.
hang
Yeah.
out with you, man.
Thank you guys.